Okay, no, not for now. Right, so this is today's topic, which is multiply by 100. Okay, let's have a look. Get ready. Okay. Complete the sentences. 100 ones are equal to 1. So yeah, it's asking you to times 100 by 1, which makes 100. Okay, and whoops, I hope you didn't see that. So, and they've written the answer. That's how you write 100. Okay, so how many tens are equal to 1,000? Uh, okay, yeah, maybe you saw the answer. Um, uh, to make it clear, I can. Where's my pen? There it is. Okay, so we have 10. Okay, but we have to make 1,000. This is 1,000, yeah? So how many zeros does 1,000 have? 1,000. 3, okay? And 10 only has 1. Yeah. So we've got 1, but we need 2 more. So we need to times it by 100. Yeah? Does that make sense? Then we have 3 zeros to make 1,000. Okay. Right. So here, 4 times 100 equals something. Yeah. So the answer. Yeah. So wait a minute. I can exactly. So the answer is the overall answer is 400. That's right. But you times 4 by 100. They're just doing the same question, but the other way around to confuse you. Okay. But the final answer, yes, is 400. Okay. I see where they've done it. Okay. So we've got 4 times 100 is equal to 10 times 4 times 10. Right. Okay. Because again, here you have the 2 zeros. You have one here, and you need another one. Okay. So that's how that works. Right now, I think most of you did measurements at some point. How many centimeters are in 1 meter? So we have 1 meter equals how many centimeters? 100. No, it's 100. Okay, 100 centimeters make 1 meter. Yeah, don't forget that. But it's different all the way along. For example, 1,000 meters make a kilometer, and 10 millimeters make 1 centimeter. Yeah, so you just have to learn for each one. But the clue is in centimeter. Cent usually means 100. Okay, that usually means 100. Okay, kilo means, so you have kilogram or kilometer means 1,000. Okay, so that will help you. If there's kilo before it, usually means 1,000 of the unit, and if it has cent, then it usually means 100. So 100 centimeters makes 1 meter. Okay. Anyway, so here we have 1,000. I might rub some of this off. Oops, I shouldn't rub that off. Okay. But this can go. So here we have 1,000 centimeters. So it's not 100. So we have to do. So if I just move this along, so I'll just make a. No, I don't want this one. I want a pen. So if I just so I have a bit of space. Okay, so they've written 1,000, so I need to turn this into 1,000. There we go. So I've added this 0, haven't I, to the 100. So I need to do the same here, okay, to make 10, right? So I've added a 0 here, because I added a 0 here. Okay? So for this one, you need to know your measurements, but the answer is, yeah, 10, okay? Right, okay. So 4 groups of 100. I think we briefly looked at this before. So one of these, as somebody mentioned before, equals 100, okay? One of these equals 100. And we have 4 of them. So 4 times 100, what does that make? Right, yes, 400, or you can say 400s, yeah, 400 is fine. And they've written it with words, so 100, and here as numbers, okay, equals 400. Okay, 100 times 4, well, it's the same as this one, isn't it? What does it make? Right, yeah. Okay, let's continue. 4 groups of 100. Okay, here we have how many tens are here? Right, 10. So 10 times 110, because these are each 110, aren't they? So basically they mean, when they say it like this, it might be confusing because of the language they're using, but they mean just 10 times 10, really. Okay, 10 times 10. Yeah, so don't get confused. Just because I say 110, it just means there's a 10. Yeah, because I suppose in each box they could put 2 of these coins in theory. Right, 10 times 10, what does that make? Okay, yeah. Or if you can just say 10 tens, but you're right, it is 100, essentially. Yeah. Okay, but this makes sense as well, yeah, that we counted them and there were 10. Yeah. 10 tens equals 100. Yeah, I hope it isn't too confusing when they write it like this. I hope you can see that they just mean this. 10 tens, 10 times 10. So 10 times 10, we've already done that, 100, okay? But these are all the different ways of saying 100. 100 written in letters, or 10 tens. Okay, let me rub off the stuff that I wrote here. Right, so now, bearing in mind, one of these is how much? One of these rectangles here, how much is that? Right, good. So one of them is 100, and we have how many of these rectangles? 4. So that would give us, that's right, yeah. Of course, you can do it like this. So 40, they mean because they've counted each of these tens. There's 40 of these, which takes a long time to count, but there are 40 of them. And you're timesing them by the coin here, which is 110. Yeah, 40 times 110, which equals how many tens? 40 times 110 equals how many tens? Not 400, not 4, because there's 400s. How many tens are there? 40, yes. There's 40 tens. Yeah, because if you think about it, if it's written, uh, it's 4 and then tens like that. Okay, so the zeros make 400. Right, next one. 40 tens equals 400. Well, that's what you said before. It's just that, or hundreds, it's just that it's written in written form. And 40 times 10 equals 400 as a number. Okay, here it's broken down. So we can see this is how they represent 400. Sorry, how much is one of these? One of these, how much is it? 100, right, yeah. This is what 100 looks like, even though you could count them if you wanted to, but we know that there's 100 there if you count each of these little green cubes. Okay. So 4 times 100 equals 400s. 4 times 100 equals 400. That makes sense. 40 times 110 equals 40 tens. This is the same as 400, yeah? Because this is 10, yeah, 110, and times by 40 equals 40 tens, yeah? Or you could just put times here, yeah? And you still get from that 400. It's the same. Okay, 40 times 10 equals 400. 10 times 100. Okay, so these are each 100, and we have 10 of those. What do we get? Maybe, uh, maybe how many hundreds do we get from this? How many hundreds are here? How many hundreds do you see? 10, right. So the answer is 10 hundreds. Yeah, that's what they want. They want you to put the answer in hundreds first. Okay. And somebody said 1,000. Yeah, 10 hundreds equals 1,000. So because it is 10 times 100. Yeah, that's what they mean when they say 10 hundreds. 10 times 100 equals, and then you have 3 zeros. So you put them together and you have 1,000. Yeah. So just remember when they say 10 hundreds, they're basically saying 10 times 100. Right. Let's go on to the next. Yeah. So there we have it. 10 times 100 equals 1,000. 100 times 10 equals 1,000. Yeah. 3 zeros. Right. So you have 10 in one of these rectangles, don't you? So if we just forget the pen in this one, how many 10? How many hundreds are there in this rectangle? How many hundreds? Anybody? 10. Yeah. Whenever you see a rectangle like this, it's 10. Yeah, because there's 5 in one row. So it's 10 hundreds. 10 times 100 equals what? Equals how much? 1,000. Yeah, 1,000. There we go. Now we have 3 of these rectangles. 1, 2, 3. How much would that make? 3,000, right. Now let's see, because they want us to write in a particular way. So they've written 30 times 100. Okay, right, because there's 10 in each. Yeah, so there's 10 in each. That makes sense. So there are 30 of these coins, these green coins, times 100. How many hundreds is that? The clue is here. 30 hundreds, yeah? It's a bit difficult. It's a bit difficult to say that. 30 hundreds. Next one. 30 hundreds equals 3,000, yeah? Okay. 30 times 100 equals 3,000. Again, you have to put the 3 zeros in, yeah? And 100 times 30 equals 3,000. They're just showing it the other way around. Okay, now they've decided to make it a bit more complicated. So there's 10 in each of these. So there's 10 here. We said this before. Oops, that's not very good. 10. So this would be then 20 and 30 and 2, right? So this would make 32. Does that make sense? There's 10 here. There's 10 here, which makes 20. There's 10 here, which makes 30. And then there's 2 extra ones here, which in total brings us to 32 coins. So essentially, 32 times 100. How many hundreds is that? And remember, again, you just need to check here. Yeah, so that's quite easy. Now, we have 32 hundreds, which is essentially 32 times 100. What does that give us? That's right, 3,200. Again, you just need to check the zeros. I think multiplying by 10, 100, 1,000 is always very easy. You just need to check how many zeros there are and put them on the end. Okay, so they say 32 hundreds equals 3,200. That makes sense as well. 32 times 100, which is what I just showed you. And then here, 100 times 32 equals 3,200. Okay, right. Okay, so how many cubes are in this green one? 100, yeah. And then the smallest unit is this one. How many cubes are in this one? So altogether, this is 101. Yeah. Let's see. 100 is 100 times the size of 1. Yeah, so there's 100 of these red cubes in here, only they're colored green, just to make it clear which one's which. I think the 10s are colored yellow. There we go. So how many are in this row here, in this column? 10. Now, how many yes, you're right, it's 1,000. Okay, I'll write 1,000 here. Now, one way of doing it is you can see here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10, and then you times it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so to get the total is 10 times 10, which equals 100, yeah? Okay, that helps you count the number of cubes. For example, if they didn't have, just as a quick example, although you don't need to think about it too much, if they only had 8 going this way, where these red lines, the blocks weren't there, if they only had 8, then you'd do 10 times 8. What is 10 times 8? 10 times 8? No. 80, yeah. Yeah, okay. And the same applies here, only it's going 3 ways because it's a 3D shape. It's a cube, not just a square. So you've got your 10 going down here. That makes 10. 10 going across here. And then, because it's 3D, you've got 10 cubes stretching all the way back there. Okay. Whoops, I did the 0 before the 1. Anyway. Okay. So we have 10 times 10, which is 100. Good. 100 times 10. 100 times 10 is... No, 100 times 10. I'm just going to mute. No, 100 times 10 is not 100. What is 100 times 10? You have to unmute yourself. Oh, Alice is waiting. 1,000. Yeah. Okay. Of course, it can't be 100 because you're timesing it by 10. Look, count the zeros. 1, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that makes 1,000. Okay. So remember, always count the zeros. You can't, 100 times 1 is 100, but times 10, you need to put the 0 in. Right, next slide. So here we go. So it says 100 is 100 times the size of 1. That's this one is 100 times that. 1,000 is 100 times the size of 10. Yeah? So this, I only wrote 100. Should be 1,000. 1,000, okay, is 100 times 10, which is what we did here, 100 times 10. Okay? So here we have ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. If I put the ones in the hundreds, that means it's 100 times. I'll write 100 times, yeah? So for example, if I have 1 here, I do 100 times 1, I get 100. Okay? If I do 3 times 100, I get what? What do I get? 3 times 100? Yeah? No, 3,000? Right. Whoever's shouting 3,000, yeah, it's 300. 3,000, look, it's showing you where to go. It's showing you, exactly, it's showing you to go here. If you're timesing it by 100, yeah? If you go to the 1,000, 3 times 100 is not 3,000, okay? So, yeah, just need to rub that off. Right. Yeah? Right, just wait. We won't get into page numbers, okay? You just need to concentrate on what I'm teaching you. Yeah, this is not in one of your pages. This is teaching you how to multiply by 100, okay? So this one is also, if you times the 10 by 100, then you get into the 1,000 column, okay? This is also times by 100, but you're timesing 10 this time. So of course, if you have 10, I'll put like a 10 here. 10 times 100 gives you what? Right, you get 1,000, okay? What about 20? 20 times 100. 2,000, right. It shows you where to go, okay? Now, I'm showing you the actual number to make it clear, but essentially, I shouldn't do that. I should just say it like this. I should say 110, which is 10. 110. How many thousands would that give you? If you times it by 1,000, yeah, exactly. So I should just put 1 here because that's 1,000, right? If I have two tens, how many thousands do I get if I multiply it by 100? 2, yeah? That makes it easier, but you just need to remember that this has 3 zeros and this has 1, this has none, even though it looks like a 0. And how many zeros does 100 have? 2. So when I say 1,000, I mean 1 with 3 zeros, okay, when I say 110. Okay, I have to rub this off. Right. So 13 times 100, just going to mute. So we have 13 times 100, so in other words, 13 ones. So let's put 13 here. And if you follow the blue line, blue arrow, it goes here. If you're timesing it by 100. So how many hundreds do I get? I've muted you, so you have to. So I have 13 ones. And if I multiply it by 100, how many hundreds do I get? Right. Or you could say 1,300. Okay. So this is one way of doing it. But the better way of doing it is, as you said, this is the much better way of doing it, is I have 13, so that's 110, isn't it? It's 110 and 3 ones. 110 here and 3 ones. Does that make sense? 13 is 110 and 3 ones, yeah? And this arrow shows I need to go here. So in other words, I need to put the 1 here and the 3 here, which gives me 1,300, as somebody mentioned, actually, yeah, which is good. Okay, let's have a look. They will demonstrate that for us. Just delete that. Okay. Oh, okay, I see. They've done it with counters. So there's 1 counter here, which represents 1, and 3 counters here. So they're just shifting the counters along like that if you multiply by 100. And here we have our answer, 1,300. Okay, now they're doing 32. So first of all, the 2. Where would I put the 2? Would I put it in the hundreds, thousands, or? Oh, yeah, so I'd write 2 here. Let me do it quickly with a pen. So I'd put my 2, oops, here. Where would I put the 3? Yeah, that's right. And now they're asking me to multiply by 100. So the 2 goes where? That's right. And where does the 3 go? Yeah, that's right. Okay, there we go. And they will say that, okay, they've done the 3 counters and 2 counters, shift them along like that. Because you're timesing by 100, yeah, there's 2 zeros in 100, so you have to skip 2 places. If you're just multiplying by 10, you just go next door. Right. This is the worksheet for today that you see, and you're doing similar stuff, okay? So complete the calculations shown in base 10. So it says 3 times 100. How many hundreds is that? We started that. Right, good. Okay, so I'll just mute. There's a lot of background noise. Okay, so this is 300, 300s, just like that. Okay, 3 times 100 equals what? 300. Okay, and here we have a number. Complete the number sentences. Maybe you just have to put the answer, I think. What's 2 times 100? 200. 4 times 100? Right, good. I'll do the easy ones first. 5 times 100? Okay. 100 times 8? Good. 100 times 10? 1,000, yeah. You could say 1000, but it's easier to say 1,000. 20 times 1,000? That's right, 2,000. Good, so you know how to do that. There are 7 boxes of 100 crayons. Okay, each of these have 100 crayons. Circle the calculations that work out the total number of crayons. Okay, so there's 7 boxes with 100. Which calculation from here is the best one? Eamon, you can give me the answer. 7 times 100. Good. Okay, next one. Now you need to match them up. So you managed the 700. How many boxes of crayons are there here? Yeah, so 6 times 100. There's 6 here. And you're right, the answer is 600. How many tubs of counters are there? No, how many? There's 9. Right, thank you. There's 9 tubs. So it must be 9 times 100, which equals 900. And how many packets of balloons are there? No, 12. Yeah, there's 12 packets of balloons. Times 100 equals, right, 1,200. Yeah, 1,200. You can see you've got the 12 here. You just need to put the 2 zeros on. Okay, good. Right. So 32 times 100. Right. Good. 29 times 100. Yeah. 100 times 72. So again, we need to start with. Good. Okay, right. This is testing your times table a bit. What's 5 times 7? Good, 35. So in other words, yes, the answer would be 3,500. Okay. Um, so we need to work backwards. Okay. So exactly, because you've got here the 100. So you need to get rid of the zeros to see the answer. 65. Yeah. 100 times what equals 30? Good, because you can count the zeros. Okay, 3 zeros, so it's 3,000.